I guess it went live without my buddy Rob. I'm not sure exactly why I did that or why I jumped on live, but my buddy Rob is going to join us here momentarily. I'll get the show started. We don't have to wait for him exactly per se, but yeah, we're back on another Thursday Night Live, ready for you guys, ready to join in on what's going to be an amazing night together. Lots of topics to discuss, lots of things to go over, lots of interesting topics. The Buckeyes just started their spring practice, and that's an exciting thing. That's an exciting time. Um, yeah, it really is a great time to be a Buckeye fan. You know, a lot of new things going on. Chip Kelly added to the coaching staff. We got some amazing news of Sonny Styles moving from safety to linebacker. I think that's an exciting development. I think that'll be an interesting thing, an interesting um, storyline to discuss with Rob once he jumps on here, once he jumps on the live. Rob will be joining us momentarily. Not sure why I went live without him, but it did. So here we are going live, doing it live without Rob for the first couple minutes here on Buckeyes Battle Cry on YouTube. Went on Mark Rogers' show a little bit earlier today. Um, didn't have to work today, so that was nice. Decided to jump on his show and got some of the topics actually from his show that I decided to discuss on tonight's live because I didn't realize things had developed and that I wasn't aware of. All right, so Rob joining us now. I'm not sure why I went live without you. I must have tapped a button too quickly or something. I'm not sure what happened. But
I
all of
don't.
a sudden, I was looking at my phone. I was like, "You're live." I'm like, "Well, here I am, I guess." So I just been kind of flabbergasted in the last 2 minutes, just kind of blubbering, much like probably much like Biden in his speech right now. Who knows? But anyway, we won't get into politics right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, how you doing tonight, Rob? How's your week been, brother?
It's been pretty good. I've been sick on and off. Uh,
Have you really? Shoot,
it's the end of the school year,
can't
man.
shake it.
The kids are feeling the summer angst, man. It's the home stretch, and that
Bro.
that's what I like to say in the teaching world. The home stretch is basically like when there's one break left, and then there's nothing else. Cause like in the beginning, you have all these half days, and then you have Thanksgiving, and then Christmas 2 weeks off, and then you know pretty much the home stretch, man. Second half of the year.
Yes, sir. So you got one more break coming up. That's gonna be spring break. Is
Yep.
when, man. I hope. And then it's really the home stretch after that.
Oh yeah, the seventh inning stretch, man.
Dude, you're getting close, man. Summer is here. You can almost taste it. I'm sure. That's epic. I love it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good week for me too. Thankful I haven't been sick or anything like that. I'm blessed to be able to say that that's not the case for me this week. Although it has been recently, it's just going around. Stuff's going around like crazy right now. Um, but yeah, man, we got some interesting topics tonight. I think it should be an interesting live, kind of impromptu topics. I saw Mark Rogers went live earlier today, and he was discussing some topics that I wasn't aware had come about. I wasn't aware that this thing had happened.
I found something out as well.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
So bring it on me. Bring it on me. What you got? You go first.
So, you know how in 2022, where Jack Sawyer played the Jack position,
I remember.
there's talk that Jim Knowles is going to do situational plays with JTT and Jack Sawyer playing the outside linebacker position. I don't know how I feel about that. They are peer edge rushers. That just shows me that Jim Knowles is not really committed to the edge rushing position. I mean, if you're taking your edge rushers and you're putting them in outside linebacker and situational plays, then I mean, I guess you know anything like the jack position was a waste of time.
It would not go well for us, did it?
No, it did not. It was a wasted year for Jack Sawyer. He should have
Yeah.
been on the field more in his main position, and I just think that I don't know. Jim Knowles really confuses me. he has flashes of brilliance, and then he just has flashes of, is the light bulb on? Like,
It's
you want to you want to take your edge rushers, put them back in an outside linebacker position. Are you going to have them drop
Whoa.
back in the pass? Because they'd be worse than Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers. But if you want to send blitz packages, why not keep them just on the edge and send the blitz with C.J. Hicks or Sonny Styles, or have
Yeah,
like these blitz? Why risk it and put and switch all these players around? I don't
it
know.
is
I
confusing.
I get really frustrated with Jim Knowles. Like, he's really locked down
Nobody
the
could tell.
defense, but what I want to see more from him is stop messing with the edge rushers. Let them do work. Let them cook. Stop trying to put them where they're not supposed to be. Outside linebacker, that's a joke. Like,
It's a
let them cook.
surprising development, especially when you consider that Jack Sawyer had 3 sacks at defensive end or edge in his last game versus the Missouri Tigers. Why would you mess with that?
I don't know. And the sad thing is, like, so the edge position has been Ohio State's bread and butter. I mean, you had the
Yeah.
Bosa's, you had Chase Young. I mean, yes, you could say Zach,
Shoot, Sam Hubbard even.
yeah, and Sam Hubbard. But at the same time, it's just like I feel like Jim Knowles just does not really stress on the edge position. I could see him and Larry Johnson getting into it, and that's more than likely why
Oh,
we don't see that much production from our edges. They're just seems like they're just there to bull rush and get
con
pressure. There's no
contain
tech.
the run, it seems
There's
like,
no
right?
moves. There's just no technique to get to the quarterback. And I
Yeah.
think that could be why that every now and then, probably more than recently, that we that we miss out on these top edge rushers in the recruiting classes. I think it's because moves like these, like, okay, like, I want to take my edge rushers, I want to put them outside linebackers, so therefore I really don't know have a big purpose for them in my defense. Like
It seems like that way. I mean, when you see the edges rush it like JTT, especially JTT, but even Sawyer himself, they're not aggressively pursuing the quarterback. They're kind of standing up the offensive tackle and waiting to see what's going to happen to contain him in the pocket or something like that. Almost giving the
that
pocket to the quarterbacks.
he's I mean, I think this move has made it clear that his defense is really safety linebacker driven. It re
Oh, it
it
is, especially
it
when you're going to have 5 safeties on the field or 5 defensive backs. I mean,
definitely is. I mean, I think he needs to be flexible and look at, like, what has worked for us in the past. You have 2 of the top edge rushers in the class of, what was it, 2021,
yeah.
and you're not utilizing them like you should. You're not.
Sawyer and JTT should have multiple double-digit sack seasons by now, and that's just not the case. It's
No.
not the case so far. They haven't produced like they should have. Now, Jack Sawyer, he's got some momentum coming into the season. I'd say even more momentum than JTT, to be honest, coming off his 3 sack performance against Mizzou. But it'll be interesting to see what happens this year and how they get used. I really hope. Now, I'm curious where you read that report. Was what site was that on,
It
or
was
what?
11 Warriors. I got it from 11
It
Warriors.
it
They're
was
they're
11 Warriors.
yeah. I mean,
That
like,
is discouraging.
they're the ones who are the first to get the info from spring practice. I mean, they're
They sure are
one,
because they're right there at spring practice.
so I trust what they report on a good amount of the time. Is it
Mhm.
is it like the most positive? No, but I still trust the source. But
Yeah.
again, I think that, I mean, here's the situation. What if they get out on the field, JTT or Sawyer get put in the outside linebacker position, and they have to drop back in the pass? What's that going to be like? What's that going to look like? Are they going to succeed? Because
Yikes.
remember the Michigan game. Remember the Michigan game. Sawyer trying to tackle Cornelius Johnson open field when
Yeah,
he
in space.
in space. Complete fail.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
So yeah, it didn't go well. So I think Jim Knowles needs to go back to the drawing board and really, really, really think: is this the year where everything's on the line, where I have the best defensive pieces in the country? Do I really want to switch things up and possibly cause some chaos?
Why do you think he wants to switch things up? We just had the number 2 defense in all of America, yardage wise and points given up wise. Why would he possibly want to switch anything?
Again, like I truly don't think he schemes for his edge rushers. I mean, that's a big reason why Dylan Stewart didn't commit to Ohio State, because he didn't
Sure.
feel like that Jim Knowles had a place for him in the defense. He didn't really His role in the defense wasn't really defined whenever he would visit. It was just like, okay, we put you in the jack position, we can drop you back outside linebacker position. And this dude's over here wondering like I'm an edge rusher. My knuckles are in the dirt. I go and get the quarterback. That's how I'm gonna make my bread.
Yeah. That's how he's gonna make his money in the NFL. How can we pitch to a defensive end like Edric Houston and say, "Listen, we're gonna stick you at defensive end, and you're gonna be in a top 5 projected pick for the NFL because of the production you get at Ohio State. But if you're not getting that production, you're playing a jack position." How can we pitch that to defensive ends now and edge players? I don't think we can, truthfully.
No, I guarantee you they're gonna put Edric Houston like tackle or nose guard eventually. I mean, the
Just because
dude
of
is
his size.
huge. He is huge. What is he,
Yeah.
like 280, 290?
Already coming out of high school, yeah.
Yeah, already coming out of high school. I mean, that's not like Kenneth Grant size, but
No, no.
he could play tackle. I mean,
He could.
I see him getting a role in the defense, but not where he wants to be. I guarantee you, because it's not going to fit Jim Knowles' scheme. Again, he does not scheme
True.
for edge rushers to be pure edge rushers. Again,
Well, going back to my point previously, I mean, it seems it's very clear when I see the rush coming off the edge because I like to watch defensive ends. I've just been trained to watch defensive ends ever since the Bosses and the Youngs. Will shoot even back to Will Smith days and Cam Hayward days. I would watch defensive ends on defense and see if they get to the quarterback, see what kind of pressure they can elicit from that position. And it seems like the last couple years since Jim Knowles came on board, we don't have a strong desire to get to the quarterback. We have a desire to contain the running back and contain the quarterback, which, I mean, granted, last year it sort of worked, but I miss the guys coming off the edge and wreaking havoc and absolutely destroying quarterbacks and their hope and their peace in the pocket. Like, it's a wonderful thing to wreck a quarterback's mind first, to get inside his head, make that clock tick a little bit faster for defensive ends. Or for quarterbacks. It just seems like we have no desire to get to the quarterback, and it kind of infuriates me a little bit.
yeah. I mean, imagine we get to the
Okay.
play. Imagine they get to the playoffs. Hello, Kate. Imagine you get to the playoffs and we have to go against Quinn Ewers. Ever.
Yeah. Um. We we got to get some pressure on Quinn Ewers. If you let a quarterback set and just get some time
Kate,
and get some.
Kate wants a shout out.
Okay, wants a shout shout
Yep.
out to Kate.
Yep. Shout out to Kate.
Appreciate you're about one of our only
Thank you.
female viewers based on analytics. So thank you
Definitely. Yeah.
that they do,
Yeah. Ohio State definitely rules.
and hopefully they'll dominate this year. We shall see though. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, if you have a quarterback like Quinn Ewers, you can't just give him all day to throw, man. You got to push. You got to get in his face and plant him on his butt a few times. That's for sure. You
Yeah.
have to.
You can't let him. You can't let him drop back and just feel really comfortable.
Just eat you up, tear your defense apart. No, we can't have that.
Um, I mean, he's got to find a way for Sawyer and JGT just to go off. I want I mean, at least a 9 sack season between the. I mean, not between the both of them, but individually. There's no reason why they
Yeah,
can't.
per.
I want it to be worth all the work that it took to get them. I want it to be worth all the work it took to get them. I want it to be as productive as possible. I'm talking about end up being in the first round, and there's no reason why they can't get like 8 or 9 sacks apiece. Can't. I mean, here's the thing though. I have not seen JTT show up that often ever since that Penn State game. Where has he gone? They just
Yeah, that was
up
in
like
2022.
without purpose, man.
Yeah, the rushing, it seems like that has no purpose and
I see
intent.
a bunch
Matt,
of
no,
I see a bunch of let's get my elbows in there. Let's bull rush and
yeah, bull
let's
rushing is what they
less.
do. That's all they do. Bull rushing is all they do, and it's kind of infuriating. It was refreshing to see Jack Sawyer actually get out to the quarterback with some malicious intent for the first time in what seems like forever. I don't remember a 3 sack performance by anybody the last 5 years or under Knowles outside of Jack Sawyer's performance in the bowl game. So
I mean, we've come a long. I remember Matt and I we went to the Wisconsin Ohio State game in 2019, and
where
we
Chase
saw.
had all those sacks,
Yep, Chase had all those sacks, the fumble recoveries, just the most dominant performance since I've seen.
we were at that game.
Yeah, we were at that game, man. It was lit, dude. Like it was off the hook.
Yeah, man, the horseshoe was going insane that day after Chase Young got all those sacks and the strip sack especially.
Yeah, he more than likely would have got invited to New York if it wasn't for that bogus suspension.
Yeah, without question, man. My goodness. What a topic, dude. What a topic to get this thing started. It gets me a little fired up because it kind of ticks me off a little bit. Not gonna front. Not gonna lie in the least bit. That infuriates me a little bit. Um, Man, I hope that isn't the case, but I'll have to go read that on 11 Warriors later. Shout out to them. I read them basically every day, but I clearly missed that today. I spent a little time on the MGO blog as well today trying to get some topics for tonight's live. But one thing I did find, um, Fox is actually opening up a Friday night slot for college football, man. A new Friday night slot. They developed obviously the big noon kickoff. That has been a tremendous success for them. Whereas previously, um, a noon slot kind of got overpassed because it got the crappier games, quote unquote. Us sickos that love college football and watch from noon to 2:30 in the morning, we might have tuned in anyway. But the majority of college football nation had their son's soccer games or daughter's soccer games to go to t-ball or whatever, and they during that time slot. But now Big Noon Kickoff is must watch. Well, now they're trying to get in the Friday night slot for the Big Ten Conference, the Big 12 Conference, and the Mountain West Conference. So big win for Mountain West. That could be a huge win for them, a huge swoon. But what do you think that means for the Big Ten? Do you think some bigger games will be on that eventually, or what do you think?
Mm, I don't know, man. I believe in tradition. All the big games are always on Saturday.
Yeah.
Good amount of the big games. I mean, at the beginning of the season, there's some Big Ten games on Friday. I mean, I've seen Michigan State play. I've seen
Yep.
Northwestern play.
Even at the end of the game after Thanksgiving, Michigan State Penn State is a Friday night game.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe in tradition. I think that they just should keep what they've had. So
It seems like that should be the route to go, but it seems like they're not gonna. It seems like they're gonna put some middling Big 12 games on, some middling Mountain West games on,
what?
and maybe at the end of the year you might get Minnesota Wisconsin to be on a Friday night.
Why? Here's the thing, though. Why would they do that? You gotta think about money. You gotta think about viewership. What are most people doing
Dude,
on a Friday night?
that's what I'm saying. People are out and about.
Yeah, the time to get them is on a Saturday. College football is made for Saturdays. It's always been for Saturdays.
It has been. They tried to make Thursday night a thing for a while, and honestly, I kind of like it. I gotta admit that I kind of like it. And I do like Maction. I'll watch some Maction because I'm a sicko. If it's an intriguing matchup, that is. Um, but yeah, no, it's an interesting move that they're trying to get Friday night to become a thing. Like, I guess maybe if you don't have friends, you're staying in on a Friday night. But like most Friday nights, I have plans. Not gonna lie, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it'd have to be like a really good game. Like I stay in for the conference championship games that are on Friday night.
Oh yeah, the
Like
USC or the Pac-12 championship
yeah,
game, former Pac-12.
night. I stay in for that, but other than that, it'd have to be like a really big game. Like again, the games during Thanksgiving and the games for
And
what is
those
it?
are special weekends where you're mostly home, you're mostly watching TV most of the time anyway. So
Yeah, I think they're just trying to. I think it's just a money grab, dude.
it's
I think
always about the money, man. Follow the money, and Fox is following the money. That's for sure.
yeah.
So it's an interesting move. I'm not a fan of it myself. I'll Depending on matchups, I'll probably watch maybe 2 of the weekends, 3 of the weekends max. But most Friday nights, I'm out doing stuff, man, having fun, living my life. Saturday, as you know, I spent a lot of time in front of the TV watching. Now with my new position, I'm working Saturdays 10 to 4, but um, maybe I can get out of that certain Saturday. I don't know one specific Saturday that is. Ohio State, Michigan, of course. But yeah, man, it should be interesting to see if that Fox Friday night takes off or not, or if it's going to be a flop for them. I'm not really sure exactly what they're looking for and what the demographic they're trying to hit, like the people that just don't have friends or what. I don't know. Not trying to harp on that, but I'm just trying to say like it seems like that would not be a time to put prime time matchups on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there'd be that much viewership. I really don't. I think it's gonna be a bust. I mean, it's a good idea. Give it a try. It's like to me, it's 50-50.
Yeah. Thursday night, I think works. People still have work the next day and they have to get up. They can watch a little bit of TV with their family, watch at home on Thursday night, Louisville versus NC State or something like that,
I
and
don't know.
watch a decent ACC matchup on Thursday night.
It
But
depends on what time you play it. Like not everyone's gonna. I'm not gonna stay up late. I don't even watch Thursday night football in the NFL. I'm not gonna stay up
yeah,
that.
yeah, I don't stay up too late. I
Thursday
usually am
night
in.
football in the NFL, you can't get in the way of that. They're not gonna allow that. The powers that be.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. I think the Friday night is going to flop. They'll eventually have to scrap it, but we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. Nick Saban had some interesting comments today. An ESPN article came out. I was able to peruse it just a little bit before he came online. And basically, Nick Saban was saying this. He was saying he basically retired for 2 reasons. One, his players, after the Rose Bowl loss to Michigan, had a horrendous reaction to the loss. Throwing, cursing, no brotherhood, no teamwork, just completely falling apart as a team, apparently. So distraught after losing the game. And it wasn't as a result of just that one game that made him retire, but he saw the selfishness of players because after he met with players after that loss, players were demanding a starting position. What can you guarantee me for next year in this on the field? And two, what can you guarantee me in the bag to stay so that I don't transfer to another school?
Oh, come on, man. Look, the dude had a right to retire.
Hmm.
The era of grit, blood, sweat, and tears. I won a championship. I want to work my way to the league. Is over. It's
So
done. You have a, I hate to say it, but you have a bunch of prima donnas now.
prima donnas, bro.
Out. I mean,
He said the
you're
majority of the
about
players he met with after that Rose Bowl loss demanded those two things from him and asked those two questions to him.
you're about to go to the GOAT, the greatest of all time coach, who has proven year in and year out that he's the greatest college football coach ever. You're about to go to him and demand a starting position, as
Right.
just you know balling out in spring practice, working hard during the off season, and you're asking how much bag you can give me. College football is for
Ridiculous, bro.
it's ruined. It's not the same.
Not the same,
I
bro.
mean, it's basically a semi-pro league now.
It is. You're right. It's kind of sad, bro. It really is kind of sad, man. It's ridiculous that it's getting to this point, where players can demand things from, especially from a coach the caliber of Nick Saban. You know, like such a legendary figure in the sport, and they're gonna go and demand those things from him. Are you serious? Like, really? That's where we're at as a generation. Now, that's not me harping down like, oh, millennial harping down on Gen Z. I'm just saying like this is what we're getting to because the generation above us has entitled them to those things.
I mean, that's why a bunch of players are opting out of the new NCAA football game. Apparently,
Yeah.
$600. I mean, who cares about you? Probably already have a million NIL somewhere else. Who cares about $600? You're going to be
Right.
a video game. You know how many people would die to be in a video game, especially as popular as NCAA football?
Seriously, man. I loved creating myself and playing as myself as a player, as a quarterback or a linebacker or whatever, you know? It was a lot of fun back in the day. Can
Yeah,
you get the chance to be in the game, not only get $600, but get a copy of the game too? Like, why did you turn that down? Apparently, only there's about 11,000 players in Division One college football, and about 10,000 have opted in so far, from what I've heard. So the
so
majority are, but there's the one guy, Arch Manning, the big name, is not opted into the game. That's been the big story this week. I know Uncle Lou made a video on him, just ripping into him, saying how entitled he is. Like, yeah, I want to practice real football. I'm a real football player, not a screen football player, is what he said. Something like that. It's ridiculous, bro.
there's not there's nothing wrong with some leisure time. And plus, what has Arch Manning done?
Right? He's a
What
backup.
what has he done? He's a backup for Texas. The fact that his NIL evaluation was that high in the first place is insane for a before he even got on campus. I mean, on three recruiting site, they have an NIL evaluation for each player, and
Okay.
his evaluation was $3 to $5 million. Someone who hasn't stepped on campus, someone who hasn't even thrown a pass, nothing,
Mm. Mm.
not warranted at all. And the dude has the audacity to make a big deal about opting out of a video game. You have like what $3 5 million on the side. You don't want to take the 600 to be in the video game. Oh, because I want more money because I'm too good.
My name is. You recognize my last name, right? That's what
Yeah.
he wants. He wanted a little bit more. For some reason, his reasoning
You,
didn't seem sound to me. It said, I want kids focusing on real football, not screen football."
you know, I'm starting to believe those football fans who just said if his last name wasn't Manning, he wouldn't be a 5 star.
We're gonna find out if he gets the field next year, and when he hits the field, we'll
He's
see
not
what
gonna
kind of
get the
player he
field.
really is.
He's not gonna get past Quinn Ewers. I
No, I'm
mean,
saying that. Well, I mean next year, as in 2025. My bad.
Sarkeesian said that Quinn Ewers is my starting quarterback. There is no open competition to spring practice.
Oh heck yeah,
Case
no, that's
closed. Case
he'd
closed.
be he'd be stupid to say anything else. To be honest, Quinn Ewers is a baller. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
He's a good player.
I'm still sour about him screwing over Ohio State. I mean, he
It
came,
hurt. It hurt. It
made
did
$1
hurt.
million, then went back home.
It's pretty self-centered move, right? There's
Yeah,
no
it
other way to look at that, really.
is. I mean, self-centered as in those players who went to Saban and said, "I want a starting position. How much
Yeah.
NIL money could you give me?"
Yep. Yep. How much can you give me to make sure I stay?
I mean,
Because they know they can get big bags from other schools. They know they can. Like Keon Sabb reportedly got 1.75 or $2 million to go to Bama.
yeah. I mean, but here's the thing though, Michigan does not pay players up front to come play football for their schools,
That's true.
and that is
That's
where
good, Splash. Welcome back in, brother.
and so basically Michigan doesn't pay their players up front. They don't really offer the bag. They want to continue that culture
Yep.
of work hard. So I don't know. I mean, yes, Miami's the worst offender of them all. I mean,
They are.
that's all they have is NIL. I mean,
Yep.
the writing was on the wall for them that all they have was NIL when they got blasted by Rutgers, who pretty much has been the doormat of the Big Ten since forever.
Yes, for real. No kidding. No kidding.
So I don't know. It's just a sad time in college
It's a
football.
sad state that we're in. Yeah. It's a
But
sick state of college football.
Yeah, but what I was saying is, like I was saying the last time, is there is a semi-pro league. There's a farm league in baseball where you want to opt out of going to college and get paid to play semi-pros. I mean, there's a G League in basketball. Why not form the same type of league in college football for those who want to get the bag, get form a semi-pro team, get drafted,
It'll
and for those of you who
suck.
actually like want to get a scholarship, want to get an
And
education,
college education.
go to that college and play football. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that these players
I
this
really
young
hope that didn't
meet
happen.
demands.
I really hope that doesn't happen, but it very, very, very well could happen. Man, that would suck. And then the other reason that Saban retired, going back to that topic, um, the NIL, like you said, the NIL, and then the portal. The portal. He's sick of, and the third reason within his second reason was that he's tired of the coaching carousel with assistants. He was so tired of hiring assistants every single offseason to replace his assistants that would just use him, come in for a year, go to a big program, come in for a year, get rehab, go to a big program. You know, he got sick of doing that. And so um, those were basically his reasons for retiring. And I think he's justified in that. And I think you'll find as time goes on, college coaches are going to become younger and younger and younger. You got some of the youngest coaches right now are leading the biggest programs. Kirby Smart, he's in his mid to early 40s. You got Ryan Day. You
And
got Kalen DeBoer, Sharon Moore. They're
yep,
all young, young, young guys. There's only three active coaches right now that have won national titles. Only three. And so somebody is going to have to step up and fill that void, whether it be Day, DeBoer, maybe Sherwin Moore, maybe another coach elsewhere, maybe Dan Lanning, maybe Lance Leopold. I don't know, but we'll see. Um, we'll
I
see
mean,
how things go.
if you look at Bama, I consider them a pressure cooker like Ohio State. I mean,
Oh,
if you don't do well in your coaching position, you're gone. So of course they're gonna be used and try to get to a you know to a higher level of coaching to be able to take that next step. But
mhm.
I don't blame Saban for getting annoyed with that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chip Kelly came in for like 2 3 years, and
Yeah.
Alden does another two.
Use it as a springboard to be a head coach again somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean Jeff Hafley did it.
Shoot, he did for 1 year. He was with Ohio State for one season, bro.
I mean it worked. Kudos to him.
Yeah, it worked for him, although he's not doing the best of the best at Boston College, admittedly.
I mean, he's a defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, so I guarantee you
Well, that's what he is now,
one
yeah.
dude in the pros, and now he can make his case for a head coach in the
Sure.
pros.
Sure, he sure can. He's climbing that ladder for sure. He is climbing the ladder, even though he wasn't all that successful at BC. But good for him, man. Respect and props to Jeff Hafley for sure.
I mean,
So
like, so with the whole Nick Saban talking about the coaching, coming and going,
yeah, carousel.
I don't think he's looking at the program. I mean, again, they're a pressure cooker. I mean, do well or get out of the heat, man. That's it.
Yep,
Do
that's
well
how it
or
goes at programs
get
like
out of the
Ohio State
heat.
and Bama.
I mean, how many offensive coordinators have they gone through, and defensive coordinators?
Seriously, seriously though, man, crazy. It's wild to think about how quickly they go from one program up to being a head coach again. So Keegan was one of them, obviously, as we know. Lane Kiffin was another. So yeah,
I mean,
people use Alabama, people use Ohio State, people use programs like Texas, you know, Georgia, et cetera, down the list. To springboard their careers and to further their career. Speaking of that, this is kind of an interesting development, man. Like Corey Dennis. Um, we won't talk about this long, but Corey Dennis has gone from program to program to program. Now he's at Tulsa. He's not at Ole Miss anymore. He's at Tulsa. He
Yeah.
keeps on switching programs. He was at Utah, then he was at Ole Miss, now he's at Tulsa, and I don't understand why he keeps switching
It
positions
seems
every
like he
week.
it seems like he's getting more at Tulsa than he was at Ole Miss. Then he got more at Ole Miss than he was at Utah. Now he's getting more at Tulsa than more
More
responsibility
of
at
this you
Tulsa than
talking
he was
about?
at Ole Miss. Yeah, I mean he's gonna have to work his way from the bottom to the top if he ever wants to do anything. I think
Yeah,
he wasn't ready for the moment at Ohio State. The word was that he was working with the backups, not the main starters, and it
interesting.
showed. I mean, that was embarrassing to see. Devin Brown and Lincoln Keenholz were not ready. I mean, all those
Not
years
ready in the
Kyle
fight.
McCord was a backup, he was not ready. So I just don't think the dude's ready for the moment. I think it's great that he's going to a smaller school, and it may work out for him, it may not, but he just wasn't ready for the moment at Ohio State. He
It's
more than
certainly a step
likely,
back for him, though, I'd say that.
yeah, he more than likely wasn't ready for the moment at Utah, and he definitely wasn't ready for the moment at Ole Miss.
With
Lane Kiffin,
Jackson
yeah.
Dart, yeah.
Uh-huh. There's no way. I mean, seemed like he was an ace recruiter, but just because you're an
It
ace
certainly
recruiter
did.
doesn't mean you're a good coach.
That's for sure. Yeah, no, I get that, I get that. Well, he's got his work cut out for him. He's gonna have to work hard and grind. Tulsa is a very different city than Columbus, I'll tell you that much. It's a lot hotter, it's a lot more boring, it's a lot more crime infested. It's gonna be an interesting move for his family. I know he's got 3 young ones, and, that'll be an interesting move for them, but yeah. Moving on to a different topic, though, we talked a little bit about this midweek in a video that I made, and a little bit earlier. But Sonny Styles is moving from safety to linebacker, as we know. That was reported. I think even before spring practice, it was rumored for sure, man. But what does that mean, do you think, for Cody Simon or CJ Hicks? He made a little bit of a video on it, and I know I did as well. But what do you think that means for the linebacker room? Let's talk about CJ Hicks first. What does that mean for CJ?
There could be a chance that he just never sees the field of Ohio State. I mean, I thought for sure that I mean he had a good spring ball game. I mean, he had a great spring ball game, but for some reason that didn't transfer into game
Yeah,
time situations.
I
I mean,
forgot about that.
from what I heard is that he's not disciplined. He goes rogue. He doesn't follow the play. He's not good at reading the O line. I
Mhm.
mean, it just seems like he's doing his own thing out there, and knowing these Ohio State coaches, they want disciplined players you know who are about the team, about the scheme, and just don't do their own thing. Because you know what? One person's out of place, that could ruin everything.
It really could, man. Especially if the key linebacker bits in there, the junkyard dogs. You're supposed to clean everything up. You're supposed to get in the muck and the mire and stay disciplined to their assignment and their role in the defense. And if they're not, man, woo, look out, bro.
I mean, I'm starting to take back what I said about why is CJ Hicks not getting a chance over Steel Chambers? At least
Yeah.
Steel Chambers I mean, he was a good linebacker, not great, but at least, it seemed like he was disciplined. And I mean, the linebackers got graded well for open I wouldn't say open field tackles, but for filling the hole and getting where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the CJ Hicks, I think he could do well under Laurinaitis for a year.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of, I mean, what does he run? A 4.5, 4.4 40?
he was
I mean,
very quick.
he's got he's got a great
He's
wingspan.
big too.
He can jump high. He can move quick laterally. I mean, he could be the guy that actually does well dropping back in the pass situation better than Eichenberg and Chambers, but he's got to get it together.
CJ Hicks, man, this is your spring to shine. I know Ryan Day mentioned in his um, radio interview that I listened to earlier this week that the spring practices are more about fundamentals and building the individual player, whereas the fall and the summer is more about implementing scheme and who's going to fit into that scheme. So that was something I'd never heard before. He told me that. He told me that on the Beam and Bobby Carpenter show on 97.1 in Columbus, the fan. And so I heard that, and I thought that was really interesting. Um, so I think CJ Hicks is a very important spring for you. I think if you're going to step into a starting role, which doesn't seem likely at this point, you're going to have to perform, man. Not only in the weight room, but on the practice field. You have 13 practices left as they practice again today, this morning. Um, 13 practices left to prove that you belong on the field for Ohio State. And maybe, just maybe, I hope not, but maybe he'll be transferring at the end of spring. It's very possible that could happen.
I mean, I would be disappointed because there was another. I think it was back in the Tressel days. This really high profile linebacker. Who was it? Was it Grant? Was it Curtis? Was it?
In the Tressel days,
Yeah, he was a really high
hmm,
profile linebacker. He was a 5 star, and just his talent, his game just never transitioned to be able to play at Ohio State.
I remember there was one in the early Tressel days. I can't remember his name exactly.
Was it Grant?
Um, I don't think it was Grant. I think that was in the Urban days. Um, we had Curtis Grant, who was a 5 star in under Urban, who never reached his potential until his fifth year senior season. He finally stepped up and was on the national championship team. Um, but yeah, man, there's always guys that end up missing a little bit and don't quite perform to the level that they think they will. Coming in as a 5 star recruit, you expect every 5 star to perform because they're graded so highly out of high school. You expect them to just commit and step on the field, but with CJ Hicks, it hasn't worked out that way.
I don't know. Maybe Ohio State is just not a good system for him. I mean, look at Harold Perkins. They let the dude play. I mean, dude's a freak of nature. Balled out his freshman year. More than likely, going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
maybe they just need to let him play. I don't know. But if not, I mean, he just. I mean, I had a lot of. I was excited about this dude coming in. I mean,
Yeah.
wow, we finally have a 5 star linebacker who jacked, fast,
Yes, he's
just
huge
a
too.
natural athlete, freaking nature, and it just seems like his game is not transitioning to
Well,
being on the field.
I remember in the Missouri game, he came on for a few snaps, and I had to like cover my eyes watching him play because he was so out of position. And his angle was so terrible. Um, but you can't just gauge a few plays and say, "Oh, that's who he is as a player." Like you have to have a bigger sample size. We did see what he did in the spring game. I had forgotten about that. What's up, man? Go Bucks though. We um we saw him perform in spring game like crazy, but we need to see him perform in big games. And here's the thing: our schedule this year, our first 5 games of the year, are spread out over 6 weeks, and we have such an easy schedule to start the season before we go to Oregon and Eugene. And he could potentially, if he separates himself in the spring and fall practices and in the weight room this summer, he has the potential to ease in before that big game in Eugene and solidify a starting spot. But right now, as it stands, it's going to be Styles and Cody Simon out there at linebacker for the Buckeyes come this fall in the season opener.
Yeah, I mean that could definitely leave room for CJ Hicks to transfer. Where he would transfer to, where he would fit in. I mean, I could see him going to an SEC school where they're just going to let him play.
What's the weird? I could see that too, man. I could see that too, and it's a weird transition going from a 4-3 scheme like we always have to now the 4-2-5 scheme where we're only putting two linebackers on the field. The thing is though, a lot of pro teams run the 4-2-5 now. It's becoming the more popular scheme. So we can pitch that and say, hey man, you want to play in a pro scheme that's going to get you ready for the pros? This 4-2-5 is going to do it for you. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I like what I saw from Cody Simon though. Seems disciplined. He fills the hole quickly. Great tackling technique. So I think I could see him as a starter.
I can see him as a starter too, and I've always liked Cody Simon. He came in the I think it was the 2021 Michigan game, and I know yes we got ran all over in that game, but he had a lot of tackles in that game, and so I kind of
Yeah.
liked what he did and how he performed. But another exciting thing about the spring practices is this: JJ Smith coming in looking like an absolute unit, bro.
Yeah.
Absolute unit. Dude is massive for a freshman. What are your impressions and what are your expectations for JJ Smith
I
entering
think he's
this
gonna.
spring and this season?
I think he's gonna moss a lot of corners, man. I mean, that dude, freaking nature, dude. Like, you ever watch his high school tapes?
No, I
Those
never did.
those one handed catch, just put his mid up there, be able to pluck the
Jeez.
ball out of the air. Ridiculous. Like
Impressive, man.
that. I don't think we're gonna see a freshman like him ever again. Now,
Wow.
um,
Wow. High
I
praise.
Julian Fleming came in with a good amount of hype as well, and he
Yeah.
was injury riddled.
Yes.
But it looks like Jeremiah Smith really takes care of himself. So I mean,
Yeah.
dude is massive. I mean, I
He's,
think he's
he's a
gonna
tank.
you're gonna see him in a lot of red zone situations, a lot of
Fade
corner,
routes.
a lot of corner of the end zone
Yeah.
type deals, a lot of
Sure.
cross. I could see him doing crossing routes, and they just throw the
Yeah.
ball up for him to get it, to
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. I could see that too, man. I'm excited for him. I didn't had no idea he was that big. You stating that makes me want to go watch his freshman tape now, or his high school tape, I mean, and see what he has on tap for Buckeye Nation. Mylan Graham is also going to be a specimen, I imagine, for the Buckeyes. He might not see the field this year, but Jalen Ballard, he kind of might be the odd man out. Although he's probably our quickest and fastest wide receiver. He
Yeah,
probably is not going to see the field too much this fall, but we'll see in the spring game what that means for him, what it means for Ballard. Because I
I
think
mean,
Jeremiah Smith is he's gonna force his way onto the field.
I could see Jalen Ballard being another Jameson Williams, another Jamo.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
he ends up going to an SEC school, absolute burner. Somehow somehow gets into
Gets a
the
thousand
first
yards.
round.
Just
So I would
no
hate to
big
see
deal.
him go because you know probably more me being selfish. Like this dude is quick. He could be dangerous on the field.
Big.
Probably wouldn't
Yes.
want to face him,
Nope.
but that's just the way it is. That's what happens when you. That's what happens when you bring in all these 5 stars. I mean, at one point they had Jackson Jigma, you had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jamison Williams. Someone's got to go eventually.
Yep. And as we get more guys like French and other guys that are projected to commit to Ohio State, not
Chris
all of them are
Henry
going to stay.
Jr.,
It's just that simple.
Chris Henry Jr.
Yeah. Not everybody's going to stay, man. It's just that simple. We're attracting the Wolverines like crazy again. Seems like we are magnets for Wolverine fans. I hear on this
Yeah,
Buckeyes Battle
man.
Cry
I mean,
Live.
like we, I mean, we don't mind having you guys. We love the fact you guys come on here,
Yep.
but yeah, we would love to attract more Ohio State fans. But
It's kind of humorous.
thank you for joining us. It reminds me of you know 2016 election. Trump gets in, and then like the Democrats, the liberals, they just go away. And 2020, when Biden gets elected, they show up on all these Republican forums
Yeah, it's kind of
just
like
out of
reverse
nowhere.
osmosis here going on right now. It's like
Yeah,
we go live for Ohio State and bring all the Wolverine fans in, man. It's kind of funny, but
we don't mind it
no,
though. We love to have you guys.
we love having you on. The more the merrier. I mean, the more discussion, more debate, the happier we are. It's just the way it is, man. So um, I did, I did want to go into my top five wide receivers before we get into champion chump. Um, this is also going to be controversial. It was a little hard, but I really do think I got it down to the top five wide receivers since the year 2000. I really think I narrowed it down to who those top five guys were. There's some names that are going to be left off. There's some names that made some big moments for Ohio State and maybe deserve to be on this list because of what they produced in terms of championships, what they produced in the NFL, but that doesn't matter. And remember, it's all about the college production, what they did in college. not the NFL.
I really hope you include Devin Smith in this. I really do. If you didn't, shame on you.
Shame on me, I think.
Who would have caught all those bombs in the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin? Who
Yeah.
would have caught that? Who would have caught that downfield pass against Bama for the touchdown? Who would have showed up against Michigan State when they needed a win?
Well, I think you make some valid points. He legitimately, and I mean this truthfully, he was number 6, and he was my toughest to leave off.
Come on, man.
He was my toughest to leave off. But I'll name the 5, and you'll see if there's room for him. Is there room for him? We're gonna
Yeah.
find out.
All right, let's hear
it. Number 5, we have Michael
I
Jenkins.
didn't say that. I knew it.
You knew I was gonna say
Holy
that.
Buckeye, dude. Holy Buckeye.
Holy Buckeye. He had to be on the list. He was Mr. Clutch for Ohio State in 2002. Oh, he was so good for Ohio State, man. He was so tall, 6'5" wide receiver. He made me when I remember back in NCAA football when I would play with Ohio State, I would and you could create recruits. I would recruit 6'5" receivers because of Michael Jenkins. You could just throw it up to him anywhere and he'd go get it. Michael Jenkins was that dude, and he was the farthest back Buckeye that I grabbed. And I think the only Tressel era Buckeye that I included on this list, which might shock you a little bit, but with so much talent wide receiver, I have Michael Jenkins coming in number 5 on the list for top 5 receivers since 2000.
Antonio Holmes in there too.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, he's not the only Tressel guy in there. Santonio Holmes is on the list. He's actually number 4 for me. You read my mind. Santonio Holmes is on the list, and I. Honestly, there's much debate where I could put him higher because he was that dude and he just played so long ago. I kind of forgot how talented he was, but he made some amazing plays versus Michigan for us. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, he caught that game-winning touchdown for the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
I was
Corner
thinking about that too.
toe tap.
Yep. The game winner for the Steelers in the Super Bowl. That was tremendous. So Santonio Holmes, he had so many plays against Michigan. He comes in at number 4 on my list. There's so many names I had to leave off, but I had to do it because of either just 1 year production or whatever. Number 3, Garrett Wilson is on my list at number 3. Garrett Wilson's on my list. There's no way I could leave him off. He is one of the most talented and speediest and shiftiest wide receivers I've ever seen at Ohio State. Garrett Wilson could not be left off this list.
Remember that catch against Clemson in the first quarter?
I remember the catch versus Clemson where he went up as a freshman year.
I mean, look like that dude has a 50-inch vertical.
It'll be ingrained in my memory forever.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson was that dude. I think for that, I'll remember him specifically. It'll be burned in my memory. And then also the touchdown versus Michigan where Justin Fields was injured and he came back in and threw that dart in the back of the end zone to Wilson.
That dude was wide open.
Wide open in the back of the end zone. Couldn't be denied. Justin Fields couldn't be denied in that instance. This might be a little bit controversial, but I actually have Chris Olave above Garrett Wilson. I have Chris Olave at number 2 slotted in for wideouts. You do agree? And why do you agree?
The dude's just a pure route runner. He showed up big against Clemson both years in the playoffs. He showed up big against Michigan. I mean, he was the secret weapon in 2018.
He was. He delivered every Michigan game. Even in 2019, I believe he had 2 touchdowns versus the Wolverines. I know at least he had that long touchdown pass in 2019 up the sideline when he's still wearing number 17.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just saying he always performed in the big games. And versus Clemson, that deep bomb over the top.
I was about to say that,
dude. So good. Such a good memory.
Got it. I'll always remember that call. Like that was such a beautiful pass. And you know, I'm so glad that he burnt that receiver who got lucky in 2019 from a broken play. Because that exposed him.
Exposed him for what he really was.
A bum.
Now, sitting at number 1 on my list, I know there's another guy that I left off this list that I'm like, how could you possibly leave this guy off the list? But dude, Michael Thomas is left off the list for Marvin Harrison Jr. MHJ comes in at number one on wide receiver since 2000 for me, and it might be recency bias. I must admit that there's a lot of recency bias coming into this. I think, but I think he's the best wide receiver prospect that's ever come to Ohio State. Better than David Boston, better than Chris Carter, better than um, the speedster Joey Galloway in the '90s. I think it was very tough to leave Michael Thomas off this list, and I thought about it for a long time. But I'm like, when I put these five on the list, Jenkins, Holmes, Wilson, Olave, and MHJ, I don't know that there's a better five. I think you did, and I think you very well made a good argument for Devin Smith because he had so many big moments in 2014 for us and in 2013. Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
what about it? What do you think? Do you think there's been any snubs? I mean,
What about Ted Ginn, man?
Ted Ginn. How do you leave the speedster off? How?
Yeah.
How do? He's my favorite. I'll admit he's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, it was a big loss when he pulled his hamstring in the
Oh my gosh.
game
No
against
bad vibes here. No bad vibes here.
just
What about a guy like Brian Robisky, man? Robisky was automatic. He like never dropped the ball.
yeah. What about
Dane Sanzenbacher.
I mean Hartline was pretty good, man.
Brian Hartline also came to my mind.
Yeah.
The
But I
guru.
don't know, man. One player you can't leave off there just because he had a big impact that national championship season. That
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, Devin Smith, dude, a great deep ball guy, could jump up and get it anytime. Again, who would have caught all those bombs from Cardell Jones in the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin?
Right.
That blowout was one of the big reasons, and it was his performance that one of the big reasons why they were even able to sneak into that 4th spot and make the playoffs. Just dominant.
He's a deep ball tracker, bro.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody pinpoint the ball at its highest point and go get it like Devin Smith did. So there's guys that I'm like, how do you leave off the list? Ted Ginn, Michael Thomas, Devin Smith. Those are three that have an argument. But who would you take off the list if there's somebody of Jenkins, Holmes, Wilson, Olave, and MHJ?
Man.
To put Devin Smith in that top five. That's why these are so hard.
I would take Jenkins off, dude.
Ooh, I think you're forgetting how amazing he was, but maybe not. Devin Smith was that dude.
He was amazing. I mean, he's able to track the ball as well, really well. But I don't know, man.
He had that 4th and 14 catch versus Miami in the national title too.
Yeah, he did. He did. And he had that holy Buckeye play. But
I don't know, man. That's what makes these debates fun, dude. I love discussing this because honestly,
what
maybe I am wrong.
are we judging them based off some critical plays? Are we judging them based off consistency on
It's a multiple factor thing. I think it's different for every position, but it's college career, it's moments, clutch factor, it's statistics. I didn't even look at the stats for this one, to be completely honest. I didn't. I just based it off of memory. And you know, if you look at three of those items that I listed off, Ted Ginn probably deserves to be on the list too.
yeah.
But then
I mean,
who do you take off again? Who? I don't know. None of these
oh
guys.
man, you can't take off Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Marvin
No,
Harrison.
no way. No way. And Santonio Holmes is that dude too. So I
Oh,
just I don't know. That's what makes it so hard because there's so many guys that you could replace, and you're like, listen, this guy's top five. I don't want to hear it from you. He's top five, you know? But like Jenkins was 22 years ago, so it's definitely harder to remember. But stat wise, I remember he is one of the top five receivers all time at Ohio State. Touchdowns wise, he was our second leading receiver in touchdowns behind David Boston. And so he was a monster, but it's so long ago, it's tough to remember. But he just had so many big moments. But it basically came down to moments, clutch factor, came down to statistics, and came down to career longevity. That's why JSN isn't even close to comparable to get in the top 5 because he had one good year. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, he got robbed of that second good year by his hamstring injury.
We got robbed of seeing Marvin Harrison Jr.,
Yep,
Jackson Njigba, and Emeka Buka all in the same field together.
we sure did, bro. We sure did.
I was so disappointed.
It's
And
so infuriating.
disappointed when he got hurt against Notre Dame and he didn't come back. It was clear. It was so clear when they tried to get him back in there that he just wasn't ready.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was obvious he
they
couldn't run.
gave him a snap count.
Yeah, they forced him back a little early, and it's unfortunate because it cost him the season.
Yeah.
And then he was ready perhaps for the playoffs, but he couldn't produce, and he wasn't willing to produce at that point. He decided to sit out. So, yeah, that kind of stinks a little bit, but that's what I got for my top 5. Just to recap again: Michael Jenkins at number 5, Santonio Holmes number 4, Garrett Wilson 3rd, Chris Olave 2nd, and Marvin Harrison 1st as the top 5 wide receivers since 2000. So hard to narrow down to 5, man. So many good wide receivers. We are arguably considered wide receiver university now. We're so many positions where we're considered that university now, but
I mean,
WRU is one of them.
there's a strong case for LSU.
A very strong case, no
I mean
question about it.
that 2000. I
And
mean,
Alabama.
you have Justin. Yeah, definitely Alabama.
Woo.
And at one point it was Clemson as well.
Yeah. Dude, I went back and watched the 2013 Clemson Ohio State like 15-minute highlight reel. Dude, Sammy Watkins was an absolute terror for us that day.
Oh yeah, definitely
Absolute terror.
got torched.
Torched all day long. Bradley Roby had no business guarding him.
Yeah, and who was the and then in 2000s Mike Williams, dude,
Oof.
absolutely
Not
just
fair.
man ball, dude, manhandled.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely tore us apart. So that is really interesting to consider. But yeah,
And,
it was just something
and
I went
T
back and
Higgins,
watched. What's that?
T Higgins as well.
So good. So many good wide receivers, but not enough for longevity. Certainly elite top talent, top level talent, but not enough to continue like Alabama or LSU or Ohio State at the position. So that's why I'd mark them down a notch. Clemson, that is. But yeah, man, it's fun to discuss these things. I think next week we'll do running backs, top 5 running backs. That might be even harder to do because they
Oh,
had once again so many good tailbacks at Ohio State over the since the Tressel days,
I mean,
and
we
that'll be challenging.
back to the the 2-time Heisman winner in Ohio State history.
Hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, no doubt, no
I,
doubt. So anyway, that'll be an interesting topic. But yeah, man, I want to go to champ and chump of the week. Did you prepare anything, or did you need me to kind of list my champ and chump for this week?
let's see, champ of the week. I would say the champ of the week. I mean, Sonny Styles is champ of the week. I
Sonny
mean,
Styles.
his athleticism, just again, freak of nature. I mean, his willingness to do what's best for the team. I mean, it was probably hard for him to. I mean, it's not like he had a terrible year at safety, but it was more than likely hard
Right. He was a stud.
to be switched to outside linebacker, but he did what was best for the team. So I give him champ of the week, and it just shows again his willingness to be a team player and just him being able to play any position on the field.
Okay, I got you. My champ, I changed it just here at the last second, but I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it to Nick Saban. I'm calling him the champ of the week for calling out the generation that is doing what they're doing right now in terms of demanding things to one of the greatest coaches of all time, calling them out and being like, "Listen, I'm not putting up with this garbage anymore. I'm retiring, bro." So good for Nick Saban calling him out and letting them know what it is. I'm not gonna play this stupid game for you guys anymore. Now moving on to chump of the week, man. We already discussed this for me a little bit, a little bit earlier. But Arch Manning's the chump of the week, man. Like, there's no reason not to be in this game, denying the fans, especially the Texas fans that want to play with you. Got 1 year left of Quinn Ewers, and then we're going to have some no-name computer-generated person as backup quarterback at Texas instead of Arch Manning. And so that sucks for the Texas fans. So Arch Manning, you're my chump of the week.
Yeah, I would say Arch Manning is just because the fact that he opted out of the game just made
Yeah.
headlines than it should have been. It shouldn't have been that big of a deal. Arch Manning is not special. The only reason why he's special right now is because his last name is Manning.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the good thing is that players will be customizable and people are gonna, they're gonna create Arch Manning anyway. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens. But I agree, he's the chump of the week.
well, and I have to tear into them. Michigan fans, they think these violations, the hammer's gonna drop.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Did
dude.
you
As I was logging on to get on the show, I saw that some Wolverine fans had their own talk show, and the title was "The Hammer's About to Be Dropped: Ohio State's violations."
Yeah. I saw that on Team
Yeah,
Rivalries YouTube channel. They said Ohio State admits to cheating, violations, and sanctions coming. I'm like, get out! Wow, they were really trying to
they're
create
low
a.
level violations. We're talking about Brian Hartline. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, he commented on an Instagram post of a recruit. That's
Mhm.
nothing, but of course they are going to self-report. So I mean the punishment is not going to be harsh. I mean,
It's lower level than cheeseburgers, bro. It's
that's
lower than that.
yeah, cheeseburgers filled with a lot of bunch of other nonsense.
They put pickles on it. That's an extra violation.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, man, it's crazy, bro. Times are wild, bro. But
I mean
yeah,
it's
man,
Wild West.
Wolverine fans are grasping at anything.
It's like the Wild West out there, dude.
It is, man. Ohio State reports these violations every offseason. I've seen a lot more than the 4 that they reported this year in past seasons. I've seen up to like 15
Here's the thing.
previously.
How could Michigan fans even talk? Their coach who got fired, linebacker coach Chris Partridge, he tried to destroy evidence. How can they talk? Make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense, guys.
Keep your feet.
Take the plank out of your own eye before you get the speck of dust out of your neighbor's eye, huh? How about
Yeah,
that?
definitely, definitely.
That's gonna be an interesting offseason, man, because everybody knows that Ohio State's the favorite or one of the favorites to win the national championship. Certainly the favorite to win the Big Ten championship. And one last thing I did want to add before we jump off is that Denzel Burke came and said, listen, I didn't get any gold pants. Okay. I don't have any Big Ten rings. I never beat Michigan. It's natty or bust time. I'm coming back for it all. And that's why we came back as the brotherhood. They said natty or bust. And
Yeah,
I'm starting to buy on to what you said that a couple weeks ago. And I subscribe that I don't get on that train, but if the players are on that train, count me in on that train, bro.
yeah. I mean, like that's been the motto ever since all these defensive players announced they're coming back. I mean, even Travion Henderson. I mean, even the
Yeah.
players in. It's natty or bust. I know Caleb Downs really wants to beat Michigan.
Yeah, he's getting taught up about what the rivalry's like. You're gonna. I noticed when I watched the recruits video of what it's like to get a tour at Ohio State. They show them a video of the rivalry, and it shows the history and the tenacity and yeah, just how hostile that rivalry can be. They show them like a 2 to 3 minute video about the game, and they say this is where you're coming to play in if you come to this university. So it's important to everybody, man, and hopefully Caleb Brown gets it. He already lost to Michigan, unfortunately, this year, but he's going to have another chance on November 30th coming up in 2024. So it'll be interesting to see if the Buckeyes can take advantage of it or not. Another thing I did want to mention before we jump off, man. Like I said, I don't watch the combine that much. I actually did tune in a little bit to the combine this year for the first time ever since I have YouTube TV and I had the day off. Um, but I didn't see this live, of course, because I'm not spending hours watching, the underwear Olympics. But Xavier Worthy set the all-time record for 40-yard dash at 4.21 seconds, bro. What do you think that means, or does it mean nothing?
Remember, Justin Ross? I mean, no,
I
no,
do, Josh Ross. Yeah,
John
yeah,
Ross. I mean, he previously broke the record,
yeah.
but it didn't really transition to being a great route runner.
It didn't transition to that, but I think it did get him paid. I think it
It
did get him paid.
did get him paid. I think what he slipped into the first. He was in the first round, wasn't he?
I think so.
Paid. He made his money, but I mean, the only speedster who has really made it work is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, no kidding, bro. Tyreek Hill and what's his name for Chicago back in the day, Devin Hester.
Yep, Devin Hester. But
Yep. So
he was a return specialist as well. I mean,
he
that's
was a return
that's
specialist.
where he made his money right there.
You're telling me. You're telling me. And shoot, I mean, let's not even harp on Ted Ginn. He had a 14-year, 15-year NFL career himself. So respect to Ted Ginn and his speed and how he hung around. Now he didn't produce a ton, but I think he did have about 10,000 yards all time. So respect to him. But anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Unless you got anything you want to add on, that's all I got tonight for Buckeyes Battle Cry. We thank you for joining on this live.
I got one more thing. I'm really, from what I'm hearing, I'm really excited to see an offense under Chip Kelly. I heard it's going to be high tempo, it's going to be quick, it's going to be explosive,
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
especially with Judkins and Henderson. I mean, we're
Yep.
talking about two possible 1,000+ yard backs.
Yep, we haven't seen Thunder and Lightning at Ohio State in a while since Boom Heron and Brandon Sane. They were Thunder and Lightning the last time, and this will be Thunder and Lightning round 2.
Yeah, too bad I always thought it was going to be Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor,
I know, me too, bro. Me too.
but it just never worked out. I think the beginning, the end for Pryor was he tore his ACL in the spring game.
Yep.
So
Yep. It happened. That happened. So it's unfortunate, but
I mean, but still, like that, I think that that offense is going to be really dangerous. I mean, even Day said he feels more like the CEO now.
yeah, I read that quote too today. Yep.
Yeah, but that's all I got.
All right, appreciate you, man. Another good Thursday. You brought the heat again. You corrected me where I was wrong in my top 5. You definitely have an argument for Devin Smith over Michael Jenkins, but that's getting super nitpicky, and you never know who's gonna be in the top 5 for next week for running backs. We'll be back next week with a champion step of the week. More Ohio State topics for you. Thanks for joining in. We appreciate you guys, all you Wolverine fans, and hopefully some Buckeye fans will come back in, and even Kate, our one and only female viewer. All right, you have a great night, guys. Thanks, Rob.
Yep. Later, bro.
Later.